Hey Fruit Faces, I just recently went through some of my books and pulled them out, and I've been wanting to share this with you guys. I think I have talked about it before, but I haven't actually showed you. This is a very old book. I've had this for over a decade, and this book was actually essential, life-changing for me in many different ways. If you've ever heard of the Indigo Children, you kind of might already know something about it, or Doreen Virtue. Absolutely amazing. It talks about how a lot of these children are different, that are being born nowadays and over the past few decades. They talk about how kind of the hippies were light workers, and they were kind of like the starter, the ones who kind of brought this stuff around, and this new kind of wave of thinking and changing the world. And a lot of times these children, they're very strong-willed, they're like very funny, have a good sense of humor and a good creative imagination. A lot of them can also be labeled as ADD. And I've always been against pharmaceutical drugs. This book strengthened my resolve to that, because it talks about how ADD drugs really just take the spark out of these children. And my mom and doctors, when I was younger, tried to put me on different drugs like lithium, and I would have people first of all, I didn't feel right on them, and second of all, I would have people tell me, like, there's no spark in your eye right now, you're not the same. And that's what a lot of these drugs do. They may not be sitting correctly, in school, but that's a problem with the school system. That's not a problem with your child. So I'm obviously very against drugs, and I think there's a lot of different things you can do to avoid taking drugs if your child is having issues with school. And I think, of course, diet is number one. Diet and exercise and good sleep and a peaceful lifestyle it's always going to do so much good. But it talks a lot about these little light workers, and it talks about ADD and Ritalin. It talks about the purpose of the Indigo Children and different things that you can do to help your Indigo children, help the children of this world. It talks about angels and prayers, talks about intuition, healing insomnia and frightening visions, talks about natural children in an unnatural world, talks about the food. And it's been a really long time. I'm actually going to revisit this book. Talks about their creative outlets. And then one of the things that really helped me, because when I read this, I was about 20 years old. I was just having my children, and I was having some issues sort of being an awake person, being a woke person in this crazy world. I had learned a lot just over the past couple of years, or even less than that, about kind of conspiracy theories and just the way the world is, And I was having issues finding hope. I was having issues with, I wouldn't say necessarily depression, but, staying hopeful and staying positive. This book really helped with that. The takeaway that I came across with is these Indigo children are psychic. And I noticed that with my child as well. And if these children are progressively becoming more and more psychic, then these children are going to be the ones to crumble the institutions that aren't working. Basically, anything evil, is going to just crumble, because they're going to see right through it. And already I feel like as a society, we're moving more towards this with WikiLeaks and everything else. These light bearers, whatever they call them, they're making this happen. And our children are going to follow through with this. This is why I'm not a huge believer in, sterilization and everything like that. What if the world ends and you're the last person on earth to populate and you're sterilized? Like, oops, shit out of luck for you and the rest of humanity. But no, seriously, it brought me a lot of hope. It's highly recommended. Again, holding a positive vision. I talk about this a lot. I see a lot of these memes coming through. Oh, where do I see myself in 5 years? And they show the FEMA camp. Like, fuck you. If you're woke, if you're awake, then why would you spend energy thinking about that and entertaining that idea? Just because that's what they want, don't give them the power. It doesn't mean they're going to succeed. This is a very good book if you have kids, especially if you have kids with ADD. And not just this book, but like the whole series, of books about Indigo Children by Doreen Virtue and the like. I haven't read all those books, but like I said, this book did a lot for me. It helped me stay positive. It helped me, I feel like it helped me protect my children. It also talks about their astrology, which is cool. I think that's great to understand your children